Hello everyone, it's lovely to see you all. Thank you all for logging on for our meeting. I'm Miss Allen, I'm Picasso class teacher, and I'm just going to introduce you to the rest of the Year 3 team. So we have...
Hello, I am Miss Kanu and I'll be teaching Dali class in Year 3.
Hi, I'm Miss Wilson and I will be the other teacher in Picasso class Year 3.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Day and I'm the TA in Dali class.
And we also have Miss Ket, who will be the TA in Picasso class. So the purpose of this meeting is to introduce ourselves to you and really just show our faces to you, because unfortunately we're not able to do that as well due to the current situation. So I'm just going to give you a bit of information about what's going to be happening in Year 3. So you'll see now that we've shared our slides with you. This is a timetable of what the school day looks like. So all children arrive at school at 8:30 AM, and it's really, really vital that they are arriving on time so as to avoid mixing with the other bubbles, and of course then be ready for their learning, which has to start promptly by 8:45. So that really does only allow us time for hand washing and the early learning work. So 8:30 is the start time for school. This is the Picasso class timetable. It is very similar to Dali classes table. As you will see, the main days that they need to remember things will be for a Wednesday when they've got PE and Thursday when they have PE. And that is the same for for Dali class, sorry. So from last year, we now have PE, music, Spanish and music that will be taught by our primary specialist teachers. We also have a class novel. At the moment, we're reading Stig of the Dump. Children have already shown themselves to be really engaged and keen to find out what happens in this. So we have this time for 15 minutes per day. So changes from last year. Carrying on from our reading focus, we have a newly decorated library. Your children have now visited it twice and they absolutely love it. They are really, really enjoying the time there. They've engaged. Today they had their book that they went in and they took a quiz where they took their scores down and they had their bookmark, and they're so excited to now really improve on their reading. So what we ask of you is that you continue to read with your children, or child, should I say, sorry, every evening. So what we're doing to keep your children safe. Before entering and leaving the building, each child is required to wash their hands. Whilst they're in school, they remain in their class bubble. They work with partners, but all have their own pencil case and stationery that they will need for the day, so everything they need is at their desk. Any shared resources, such as science equipment, library books, and art materials, are quarantined for 72 hours after use, and that's in line with government guidelines. So we are being really stringent on following these guidelines in order to keep everyone, adults and children, safe. At playtime, the children go into zones where they've got an area to play in to minimise contact with other children, so they still stay in their own bubble at playtime. So in order to do this, we've also got our hub points, and what we're really doing is trying to encourage all of our children to make the right choices. And I have to say, so far from what I'm seeing in Year 3, we are really, really proud of how they've settled in on making these positive choices. So they're in 4 hubs, and as you can see, we've got world studies, active science, creative voice, and enterprise. Each hub promotes a specialism, and they create a sense of camaraderie and competition across the school curriculum. The children are so excited to be earning their points. We're also having the points given out for when they're doing things like lining up properly. They can get tokens that they're putting outside into a little pot to raise points for their hub. They can earn individual points, which we are then keeping a track of and a score of, so they can see what they're earning these points for. So how are we encouraging it? Some of this I've already said. I've got a really good habit of going ahead of my PowerPoints. It's the teacher in me. So students earn their points, and they can also have their name in class. And if they're doing the right thing, they get to move their name up the chart. However, if they're making the wrong choices, then they would move their name below the chart. So high expectations are really important. We really, really want your children to do well and to learn well. If your child's behaviour unfortunately falls below the expected level, they will then complete a reflection activity with a member of the leadership team before they're able to return to class. Upon returning to class, they will also have a chance to speak to the class teacher in order to rectify what's happened and start again. So we want them to see what's happened, if they've made a poor choice, but then they do, of course, get to rectify that and start afresh, which we believe to be fair. If, however, it was a more serious breach of the behaviour policy, students would need to attend the Academy R&R, which is based in our secondary building, and a phone call from home will be given to inform you of this. You'll be required to collect your child from school and discuss what happened with a member of SLT. Now, that's actually quite rare, especially for Year 3 children. And as I've said, with the behaviour that I've seen, I would not expect that to be happening, but we do obviously need to let you know what would happen should incidents occur. We also are assessing your children. This week, we are assessing the children we assess the children in their reading on the book that they have taken home. For each term, they're going to be having a maths, a reading and a writing assessment. We're doing baseline assessments this week just to see how the children are getting on and what their starting points are, because of course we really do appreciate that they've had to have now, some of them, of 6 months off of school. So we're really trying to see where the children are, what gaps they've got and what we can do in order to make sure they achieve their full potential. We will also endeavour to communicate with you during termly parents' evenings. Now, of course, we don't know what the current situation is going to be, but it could be that it will be a Zoom meeting like this. But as soon as we know, we will inform you. So maths focuses now, so the curriculum that we're looking at, so this half term we'll be looking at place value, where we're really looking at partitioning numbers and understanding the value of each digit. Without place value, children really struggle to move on to addition, subtraction, division. So if they know that, for example, 26 is made up of 20, which is 2 10s and 6 1s. So literacy, our literacy text that we're looking at, as I've already said, is Stig of the Dumb. So moving on to how you can support your child at home in their learning. We ask that you listen to your child read and ask them about their AR book to support them in their reading for 20 to 30 minutes each day. Should they finish their book, it's really useful for them to read it again and have questions about what happened to the main character. What do you think might have happened next? So they're really getting an idea of what's happened and getting fluent within that text, which will really support them in their 2 weekly quiz that they complete. Spelling tests are going to be each Thursday. Spellings are going to be given out in a spelling booklet, and they will know which spellings they're being tested on that Thursday. So we will let them know on a Monday morning which tests they're going to be having the following week. Homework books have been ordered and are on the way. You might find that we give some little tasks in between, like practicing number bonds, really getting used to their reading in between that whilst we're waiting for those books to arrive. We're also wanting to help build children's resilience. So really by asking children about their school day and how they're finding school will be really useful for them. End of show. Right, so I'm just going to now remove the slides so that we can see you, and then if you have any questions, then please do ask us, myself or Miss Cano or Miss Wilson. Are we on?
Yeah, you're on camera.
Thank you. Getting used to my technology. Oh yes, sorry. Before I ask questions, I'm going to do a tour. I did nearly forget that. So this is Picasso classroom. Is that going? Sorry, Dali classroom. I've changed rooms, so you can see it's got the displays on the Stone Age. I find it very hard to see this. We've got the forces and magnets is our science unit, and of course they've got their lovely reading area. And these will be the tables that your children are sitting at. And as you can see, these are all in rows and where they've got their partners with them. Moving through, I'll show you Picasso class now. Excuse if the camera comes a little bit close up. And again, it's got a very similar setup where you will see the children's are learning on the Stone Age. which will then be, as we progress, adding their work to. We've got our forces and magnets display that they've been looking at. And of course, we have our maths area here, and you will see that we're already, as the children are learning, we start putting what they've been learning about on the display boards. So a quick fire tour of the classroom. If you just bear with me, I'm just walking back through the corridor where I will be able to take any questions if you've got them. If you could type your questions, that would be really useful, and then we will then know who best questions. If you have got any, if you just type them in the chat, and then we will answer them. I'll just give people a moment in case they are just wanting to type them in, and then if you don't have any, then of course I will put a close to the meeting. Oh, that's really, really lovely to hear. We're all working really hard on improving the school even more as we go on through the year, and really just want the best for your children. But I will pass your comments on to our leadership team. Right, does anyone else have any other questions? Because otherwise I will now bring a close to the meeting. Of course, if you do ever have any questions that you want from either myself or the rest of the team, then please do not hesitate to contact us through the school office, because we will always give you a call back, because we do appreciate that if it's something private, it's quite difficult to have that conversation socially distanced outside at the moment. But thank you all ever so much for attending. We really do appreciate it, and we are really, really looking forward to teaching your lovely children. So we'll say, on that note, we will just say a goodbye. Thank you ever so much.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.